China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has wrapped up a 6-day Africa tour, a 3-decade-old tradition which sees China's top diplomat visit Africa for their first overseas trip of a year. Wang Yi's 2024 itinerary involved trips to Egypt, Tunisia, Togo and Cote d'Ivoire.
China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara on Wednesday in the capital Abidjan on the final leg of his Africa tour. President Ouattara hailed the strong ties between China and Cote d'Ivoire and pledged his country's support for the One China principle. For his part, Wang Yi said China was ready to promote the upgrading of mutually beneficial cooperation between China and Cote d'Ivoire. The foreign minister began his 4-country Africa tour on Saturday with a visit to Egypt, where he met with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. He also held talks with Egypt's foreign minister, where they agreed to push for elevating their bilateral relations to a new level. Their discussions also touched on the war in Gaza.
We are working with Arab and Islamic countries to cease the fire and fighting. The Palestinian crisis has lasted for 76 years. This is a historic injustice that should not continue any longer.
Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry affirmed his country's support for the One China principle and praised the development cooperation between the two countries.
We value what China has achieved in development. It is a role model for developing countries for work and political will to progress and develop. We look forward to benefiting from the Chinese model.
On Monday, the Chinese foreign minister traveled to Tunisia, where he held talks with President Kais Saied in the capital Tunis. Wang Yi said China supports Tunisia in the safeguarding of its sovereign independence and national dignity. The Tunisian president, meanwhile, affirmed his country's support for the Belt and Road Initiative and committed to the One China principle. Later, Wang Yi held talks with Tunisia's foreign minister Nabil Lamar, where they agreed to strengthen high-level exchanges and expand all-round cooperation. From Tunisia, Wang Yi traveled to Togo on Wednesday, where he met President Faure Gnassingbe and conveyed warm greetings from President Xi Jinping. He also met with Prime Minister Tomega Dogbe and Foreign Minister Robert Dessay. The two sides pledged to enhance strategic cooperation in their joint efforts towards modernization. Robert Nagila, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.
For more on this, let's bring in Professor David Munyai, Director of the Center for Africa-China Studies at the University of Johannesburg. He joins us live via Zoom. Thank you very much, Professor Munyai, for joining us. So, first visit in the new year by the Chinese Foreign Minister, and he chose to go to Egypt, Tunisia, Cote d'Ivoire and Togo. What do you see as the takeaways from this tour, looking at it both from the side of the African nations and the Chinese side?
I think there is so much that one can take away from this visit. It came at a very strategic moment in world history, at a time when there's a war in Gaza. Climate change issues have reached the highest level of discussions at the global level, with the last year COP28 taking place in Dubai. And at this moment, Africa also requires an increased assistance in so many areas, particularly for smaller indebted African countries that rely on China, and most of them, they are seeing China as the major market for its own their own products.